Okay, so over the past 2 weeks, week and a half ish, Jose and I watched My Adventures with Superman, which is the new Superman show on, I think it's specifically Adult Swim and not just Cartoon Network, although it's not an Adult Swim style show. Like, you could easily just have this on Cartoon Network and, like, narrow your problem. Anyways, point. I feel like I can't talk about why I like this show without talking about one of my favorite Disney movies, Hercules. Because Disney's Hercules is this combination of elements from the Greek myth and also telling their own version of Superman. You have a baby who descends from the heavens and is adopted and raised by simple farm folk. He's way stronger than the average person, and as a result, he doesn't feel like he quite fits in. He understands there's something wrong with him. He finds out about his heritage, and that leads to him wanting to become a hero. For specifically, it is a true hero. So he does that. He's a hero. He fights monsters. He solves problems. I think he even, does the Superman pose a few times. It wouldn't surprise me. Fuck. So I just realized at one point I wanted to make a joke where I was like, Disney's Hercules, you mean Huncules? Boy, I like to make some sweet music with him. And then I realized, shit. I forgot my cue, but I'm going to make the joke anyways. It's my video. Who's going to stop me? Me? No. But it's a story about a man with incredible power who uses it for the good of the people around him. Here's the thing, though. For most of the movie, despite his accomplishments, despite all the people he saved, all the monsters he's thwarted, the natural disasters he's averted, because I know there's a point where a volcano's about to explode and he just slams a rock onto it. I'm like, that's fucking cool. I love that shit. He's not considered a true hero. To me, the reason for this is because everything that Herc did as a hero was for a selfish motivation. And if you've ever watched The Good Place, one of my favorite shows of all time, I fucking was crying at the end of it. One of the themes of The Good Place is, if you do good things, but you have a selfish motivation, it does not make you a good person. The deed itself is inherently good, but it's the motivation that's most important. Everything Herc is doing, it is not because I'm helping people because someone should. Because, great power means great responsibility, so I have a responsibility. Everything he's doing is, I'm doing good things so I can get to heaven. So I can find the place where I belong, which I know to be Mount Olympus, and I can't get there unless I prove myself. So all the good things I'm doing are to prove myself to get there. There's an argument to be made that the first time Herc is a true hero, I mean, I guess you could also argue, when he's a kid, he kind of does things, the thing with the pillars was not even, I'm trying to help, he caused the incident and then was trying to mitigate the damages. I feel like the first time in the movie, he's really just being a good person and not, I'm trying to get into Mount Olympus or score points with Meg, is the Cyclops attack. When Herc has no power anymore, he's fucked up, and there's a monster calling him out. And he knows, I think Meg says, if you fight it, you will die. And, there are worse things. I know. But I have to do what I have to do. It's going to keep attacking the city. It's going to kill people unless I give it what it wants, and what it wants is me. It is self-sacrifice. He's putting himself on the line. There's an argument to be made, though, that here he's not a true hero because it's not completely selfless. It's not motivated by a sense of heroism. I need to help people. I want to help people. He feels like, it's almost like him throwing a pity party, especially with the way he's talking to Meg. You can make an argument in its own weird way that this is a suicide by cop. I'm trying to do everything I can to get to Mount Olympus, and despite everything, it's not enough. And the woman that I love has been betraying me. And, my manager, who's my best friend, I turn my back on him. I'm a massive piece of shit. Okay. If this thing wants me, I will let it have me. Do what you will. Which is really fucking dark to think about in like this Disney's Renaissance movie, which I know I say Aladdin is like a Vegas show, so is Hercules. You're like, yeah, this big Disney Broadway Vegas show performance. Arguably, there's a scene where a main character is trying to get himself killed because of how miserable he is from the last like 10 minutes of his life. Huh, never really thought about that before. But I think you can make that argument. It's like, this is why he's not a true hero. Hercules does not become a true hero until after Meg dies. And he tells Hades, like, I'm gonna go in there and save her, and you can keep me. There is no, I am doing this to get to Mount Olympus. It's not a, I'm throwing my own pity party. It's this person's life is invaluable. I don't care what happens to me. And not in a, like, I don't care, like, just do what you will. It's like, what happens to me doesn't matter. She is the most important thing in the world. And if I can save her life, it does not matter what it costs me. It really doesn't. It is him, for possibly the first time in the entire film, being truly altruistic. And it's great. Like, I fucking love the movie. It's possibly my most seen Disney movie. I love it. But the reason I bring it up, and again, the reason I say, like, it reminds me of what I really like about this show, is Hercules at the end of the movie is Clark the entire show. The reason I did not care for Superman growing up, although I did watch Smallville and I like Smallville a lot, was I always saw Superman as boring. He's the just really unga-bunga dude who has one weakness and, I mean, I guess two, kryptonite and magic. But if he's getting into a fist fight with someone, 9.9 times out of 10, he's probably beating the shit out of him. Regular dudes that, like, Batman has to fight, or, like, some of the crazy shit that Spider-Man would have to fight, they're not really a problem for Superman. And it's like, he's just, I don't know, he's just nice. There's no, like, real conflict there, like Peter Parker, like, balancing the life of, like, Peter Parker and Spider-Man and, like, growing up and shit, or Batman and all his crazy shit. Superman's boring. And as I've grown older, and I've watched more Superman, I guess we consumed more Superman media and kind of thought about it and talked to people who like Superman, I've realized how wrong I was. And how wrong Kill Bill is. Which I love Kill Bill. Again, one of my favorite movies ever. There's a scene where Bill is talking to Beatrix Kiddo about his favorite superhero, Superman. And he's like, what I love about Superman, what I find so interesting, is it is not Clark Kent is the person and he masquerades as Superman. Superman is the person and he masquerades as Clark Kent. And Clark Kent is everything that Superman, this superpowered, important being, sees humans as. He sees them as clumsy, unsure of themselves, weak. And this is how he blends in among us. And you, Beatrix Kiddo, you are Superman. And your attempt to live a normal human life doesn't work because that's not who you are. Which, you can make that argument that that's who Beatrix Kiddo is, but in terms of what he's saying about Superman, I think he's completely off the money. Batman is Batman. Bruce Wayne is the alter ego. Spider-Man and Peter Parker are kind of 50-50, and that's the challenge there. But to me, Clark Kent is Clark Kent. But he does masquerade as Superman. And it is just because I want to help people. Because it's the right thing to do. Because I have the power to do so. And what I love about this show in particular, and I don't know how many other Superman media does something similar, I think a lot of them do, is that he didn't need to be told, hey, with great power comes great responsibility. As I'm trying to dig at Spider-Man, I fucking love me some Spider-Man. But he didn't need to be told that. For Clark, it's just, he's a good dude. Like, if someone needs my help, I'm going to help them. There's no ulterior motive. There's no goal. There's no, like, I have to get back to Krypton and be a true hero, or it'll hook me up with Lois Lane. I mean, maybe in some versions it's like that. At least this version of Clark is just, someone needed help. So I did it. Like, what is so hard to understand about that? I'm helping because I can. Because it's right. Because if I needed help, I would want someone to help me, so I gotta pay it forward. I love it. I love that so much. Just seeing someone who's, and don't get me wrong, I love my morally complex characters. I love morally complex heroes. I love morally complex villains. But sometimes the lack of complexity in a character's like morals and motives can be really fun. Sometimes it's fun seeing a villain who's just an unrepentant piece of shit and they love it. And sometimes it's nice seeing a hero who's just a good person. I guess going more specifically into the show, I don't have a whole lot to say. I feel kind of bad. I was like, yeah, I watched 10 episodes. I'm like, yeah, it's good. I liked it. I feel like it's the kind of show where if you've seen clips and you've thought to yourself, this looks good, this looks fun, I should watch it, you absolutely should. If you've seen clips and you've seen trailers and you're like, this doesn't look like it's going to do it for me, it's probably not going to do it for you. I do think the characters are really endearing. I've made it very clear how much I love Clark in this, just being a good person. I also just like how much of a dweeb he is, how much of like a dork and a klutz. It's just endearing as hell. I love Lois. I think one of my favorite things about Lois is it's very clear that she likes Clark, like her attraction, like physically and emotionally, is to Clark, not to Superman. There is still a little bit of that attraction to Superman. Like, of course, it's the same dude. And there is that interest as a reporter of, I want to learn about Superman. Who is he? Why is he here? What is he going to do? I love that. I think it's really, I think it makes sense. But I love how it's not like, I like Clark, but damn, there's Superman. It's like, no. This is the person she likes. And their relationship and interactions is just fucking adorable. I love it. Jimmy, in like the first couple episodes, I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know if I find him really endearing and like if his conspiracy theory bullshit is like really funny. Although I do love that every time he says the name of his podcast, Flamebird, you just hear this like caw in the background. I love that. That's fantastic. I was like, I don't know about this. But the more it went on, I'm like, nah, I like Jimmy. I like Jimmy a lot. I love how Jimmy's like, yeah, dude, like Clark, I've known you've been Superman since the day we first met. I'm like, how'd you figure it out? You ripped the handle off our door when you were trying to open it. I was like, this dude's clearly like some unga bunga dude. I just didn't press the issue because you're my friend. I trusted if you're keeping this a secret, it's because it's a sensitive topic. And when you're ready to share it with me, you're ready to share it with me. I kind of wish you had shared it with me a little bit earlier, but I mean, hey, like, it is what it is. I like that. I like that they do feel like a trio and not just Jimmy's the third wheel, although there are moments where he kind of feels like that, and he's like, I'm clearly the third wheel in y'all's relationship, and I'm just gonna let you have this moment. Like, when it's like that in the, like, romantic aspect, I like it quite a bit. The antagonists, I don't know what it is, Slade just looks weird to me. Even, like, in the suit, and, like, the way the mask looks, I'm like, that, I don't know, I think it looks kind of off. I think the others look fine. I knew nothing about Lois's family, so the whole thing about like, oh yeah, this general is Lois's dad, like, oh, that's a fun twist. That makes sense in like the way you've written the story, but I just didn't expect it. I like my DC knowledge is like, I know major people in the Justice League, I know Batman's Rogues Gallery, and I know for Superman villains, Doomsday, Darkseid, Lex, and Brainiac. And I don't know if I could pick them all out of a lineup. Like, I probably could for Darkseid and Lex, but Brainiac, like, when Brainiac showed up in this, I was like, oh, that's Brainiac? I remember what he looked like in Justice League, where he almost kind of, like, his face was kind of similar to the Martian Manhunter. Like, that's what I think of when I think of Brainiac, but okay. Also, oh yeah, in General Zod, but like he's like just a dude. I could never pick Zod out of a lineup. But I know when someone says Neil, like at the end of season 1, you're like, ah, Zod, got it. He's a problem. Fuck, I had something else I was gonna say. I think I lost it. I was gonna say, sometimes the pacing, I think the overall pacing of the season is fine, But I remembered it now, Pin. In individual episodes, sometimes I think it goes a little too fast. I think for the most part, they're fine, but every now and then I was like, this one's moving a little quickly. Let me take the pen out. The thing I wanted to say while I was on the villains was about Lex. Because there is no Lex Luthor in the show, at least not that we're aware of. Because there's this one dude named Alex who shows up in a couple episodes, and just the way he acts, like the way they emphasized him, is like if they emphasized him just in that one episode where he worked under Parasite, you're like, oh, okay, this is just like his droog, it's whatever. But they emphasized him later as someone who was interviewed about Superman, talking about like, yeah, I think Superman is a danger. Someone can't have that much fucking power and be trusted. That's not how people work. I'm like, that sounds pretty Lex Luthor-y. Alex. We never learned his last name. It's like they just sneak in Lex Luthor and try to make him seem like a normal, like just normal whatever character. Like that's gonna be a fun reveal if it happens. Also, speaking of Parasite, I love how the suit just looks like an Ava, and then in like the last episode, or the penultimate episode, it just becomes like this big Unga Bunga kaiju-sized monster, and it goes from looking like Ava, like Unit 1, into a fucking Godzilla monster. Like, this does it for me. This is wonderful. But overall, yeah, I like the show a lot. I don't know if I would be like, I love it, it's amazing, it's phenomenal, but it's I had a good time. It reaffirmed what I love about Superman and the character of Clark Kent, and honestly, why for me, Man of Steel doesn't work, because I don't get that sense of just pure altruism out of Clark. Like, he's too moody. Like, I feel like this is what Superman should look like. It should look more bright. He should be just a nice person, not super brooding, super moody, not like, oh no, Clark, you have to save people because you have that great responsibility. Like, no, that's Spider-Man's thing. I like that Superman is just, I'm going to do it because I can and because I should. I think it's more powerful that way. So overall, yeah, I liked it. If you've seen it, I hope you've liked it too.